which gets me into the next kind of conversation: McGregor versus Diaz too. What do you think about that? Who do you think's going to be on top there, and what changes do you think Conor McGregor is going to have to make to win?
Well, first you gotta. I like to reinforce this. You got a lightweight fighting a featherweight at welterweight. So they could have met at lightweight, but of course, Conor was like, that's where I got beat, was at welterweight. That is where we're going to make it happen again. And there's some, some pride in that, I guess, maybe that some would consider that's an issue with pride for him. I consider that as I'm not going to avenge a loss where the loss didn't happen. He wants to go ahead and avenge that loss. And I believe they're both going to come into the bout that much more prepared physically, both of them, for that weight class.
Well, we didn't really see like Conor the way he would usually fight. We didn't really see him, lull you with his movements. Didn't really go for the kicks. He was landing his shots, but man, he really must have thought he was invincible because he was throwing some heavy haymakers, and then in that second round, we all know what happened. I'm very excited for this. I do not know what I think yet, though. I don't know who I'm going for. I know Conor definitely needs to make some adjustments. And to let everyone know, I've been staying up on my UFC news, and I'm sure Sean has too. Conor has brought in some lanky southpaws that are great jiu-jitsu people to come in and train with them. So, of course, that's going to be different this time because this training camp, he didn't really know he was going to be fighting Nate. He thought he was going to be fighting RDA originally. He kind of took the fight saying, I'd fight anyone. I don't care. And that kind of made it cool, but it didn't go his way. Here he is revenging his loss. And we have Aldo who just won, so we have that on the back burner as well. Conor really doesn't have anything to lose except he's going to have this hanging over his head the rest of his life. But I just don't know who to pick yet.
I think if he is able to persevere and beat, I think if he's, it would be interesting if he was able to go ahead and put Nate Diaz away, whether it's a finish or a clear, decisive decision. Then what would be exciting would be for them to meet a third time, not before he returns down to featherweight and defends that title. Yes. But it would be fun to see
just to be clear. Just to be
clear, I think it would be fun to see a third fight if McGregor was to win, but that would or should happen at lightweight. What do you think about that? And again, we're speculating. We're going based upon if there was, if they even the score at 1-1. What do you think about that?
Well, of course, you're going to have to do that because if that's what happens, that's what we've always done in the past, whether it was Frankie Edgar or GSP or BJ Penn. Everyone got their third match. You know what I mean? So, of course, they're going to want to do that because it's going to bring in so much money. So my next question for you is this going to be bigger than UFC 200 with pay-per-view buys, or maybe UFC 189, which we know broke records with, I think it was like 1.8 million it broke. What do you think? Is it going to beat UFC 200 for pay-per-view buys?
Man, I think a lot of it had to do, as far as the numbers, with the mystery of how is he going to do, Conor, going to do leveling up to 170, and the questions around how is Diaz going to perform on such short notice.
Dude, so Diaz is looking jacked right now. I don't know if you've seen him, but he looks huge.
I have seen some pictures. He has the ability. Again, he's a 155-pound fighter. It's a luxury for him to be able to come in. He has a lot more ability to walk around at a higher weight because that's more natural for him than Conor having to get used to that. So how long did it take for Conor to actually have to get used to carrying that extra weight, as opposed to there's probably not much change that Nate has to do as far as carrying that weight, that additional. Yeah, I want to say additional, but I wouldn't say that there's really no additional weight that he's carrying. He's just able to walk around without as much stress on his body.
Dude, even mentally as well. You know, in their last fight, he was getting beat up pretty bad in that first round. He was bleeding, and he was able to keep himself so calm. And you see that with a lot of veteran fighters, whether they're in UFC or anywhere, how calm he was able to stay. And he saw that moment, and we all saw that moment too, where everything just changed. Huge momentum change with that one slap, you know?
Yeah.
And he beat the unstoppable Conor McGregor. And we watched him for years. Never thought we'd see Nate as on top of things as he was. This is huge for Nate. This is awesome. Also, his brother's coming back. Are you excited for that?
Yeah, beast mode. Beast mode.
Who should he fight? I've been asking everybody this. Who should he fight?
Well, it depends. Where is he going to come back at? You know, and this is a guy. If you remember when he fought, I'm pretty sure his last fight was Anderson Silva.
Yep, and he was laying in the octagon. He was falling asleep.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
I love the meme that goes with that. You know, no matter how cool you think you are, you'll never lay down.
Cool.
Yeah, you'll never lay down in a cage in front of Anderson Silva. But he's not concerned with, and he says he's not concerned with gold. With a title, he just wants money-making fights. And since Conor, really, you didn't hear that as a constant theme from fighters. You know, the theme was, I want gold, I'm fighting for that gold, I want. But now, Conor has sort of changed the mindset of a lot of fighters to where they're now saying, I don't care necessarily about the title, I want the big money fights. So to answer your question, who do I think is a big money fight for him? Well, would it be at 170? Would it be at 185? Would he, you know, there's so many options. You know, I think he would need a warm-up fight or a fight, a winning performance to fight Lawler again. That would always be an exciting fight. There's a lot of fights. There's a lot of fights in that division, in the welterweight division, that would be exciting to see him.
And
even in the middleweight, you know, even in middleweight.
And of course, Robbie Lawler is about to be fighting. Who do you have going into that?